Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over two different emails sent from subscribers. The first one is from a guy who recently, 2 weeks ago, his wife ended their marriage. The marriage, I believe, about 6 or 7 years, which he said in the beginning was good, thanks to her working with a couple of angry, miserable effinists. A couple of effinists whose lives were complete crap. One's been married many, many times, children with multiple daddies, that type of thing, and the other one was a mess as well. But also, you're going to see that they were going through some tough times. And I'll be going to go over here, guys, just to show you how the influence some very angry gals can have on women who are actually in seemingly good marriages. But also, you're going to see, as I mentioned, they were going through some tough times, which you'll see in a moment, and how, understandably, tough times could have an impact on a relationship. But those tough times really show you who your girl is. If she weathers the storm with you, and you guys can really come out stronger. But a lot of them simply can't take it. They're there with you during the good times. When the things are tough, after a while they bail. So it really goes to show you their true character and why you really need to spend a long time getting to know your girl. Why it's so important you can't rush into marriages, relationships, because you need to be with your girl. If you're going to think about marrying her in today's crazy world, you got to be with her during bad times as well to see if she sticks by you. Otherwise, situations with meeting, in this case, these angry effinists, that could just be the essentially straw that breaks the camel's back when there are other problems before. But this guy, you'll see in the story, he's now has a clean slate and he's moving on, which is good. Now, the second story is about a guy in an opposite situation. This guy is writing in, he's in his late 30s. He's in a very, very good marriage. 20 years, kids, has a great relationship with his wife, describes her as a unicorn, which is definitely makes all of us cynical guys being like, uh-huh. But actually sounds really good. However, no relationship is perfect, as he points out, marriage, and there's been tough times, ups and downs, but overwhelmingly that's great. But he admits that he found my channel and is using things he's learned to make their situation even better. Laying down the law sometimes when the law needs to be laid down, that type of thing. And just like it's interesting that their situation is getting better and better. So we got a story about a marriage imploding, an important lesson about the gals and female nature there, and a story that ends on a high note of an actually happy marriage. Because you know what? I like doing those stories, believe it or not, because we actually need some happy marriages out there to have strong families and have strong kids, because our society ain't going to get better otherwise. So, lessons from both. So, it starts off, he says here, this first guy says, hello, SSM. You can call me Dabs, and 2 weeks ago, my wife ended our marriage because of a rundown effinist at work. So, this is all brand new, huh? I'm sorry, bro, but you know what? If it got that bad, this is actually a blessing in disguise. We met 2 years before COVID hit the world and stayed together all through COVID, and even stayed strong when I lost my job as a healthcare worker because I refused to get an experiment put into my arm. Yep, seems like a different lifetime ago all that was going on. Long story short, we ended up having to sell what we could and move from Washington State to South Dakota. We were aiming for Florida during the time when we first got to South Dakota, and my wife got a job before me. And I had to stay with our pets in the SUV so they didn't get taken. So you literally sold everything you had and you were living in your car in South Dakota? I mean, some people like living in RVs and that type of thing, live in the back of the SUV, but that has to be hard on anybody. And I will say that. A month into being here around 2022, we got enough to get into a hotel, so I'd be able to work as well. 4 months into having a job, during winter, I slipped on a wet floor at work and sprained my right ankle that broke 3 years before this. My coworkers at my job took it as a chance to make up lies about me and get me fired, thus making my wife the only income again. Okay, so yeah, you left your life in Washington State for your principles. Had to sell everything. You were living in your SUV for a while. That's hard. The change to a new place is hard. She was taking care of all the bills and everything at first. That's hard. It's understandable that it was tough for both of you. But these times either make you stronger or show you somebody's true colors. And now because you injured yourself and it's not your fault, now she's back taking care of the bills. And I'm sure resentful as hell about that. 4 months goes by and I'm able to walk again and get a bit of range of motion, and after resting my ankle and leg. I started working for a factory and was making more money than my wife, and she started working where I was at the same shift in a different area. Within 8 months of us working at the same place, at some point, a effenist who cheats on her husband and another effenist who's had 5 husbands and 4 different baby daddies is telling her to leave me, and I'm a horrible husband, all because I had a boundary crossed. There you go. You got a cheater who's an effenist, and you got one that's been married 5 times, 4 babies from different daddies, a couple of real winners. Clearly, I think the combination of meeting these 2 angry harpies and the fact that obviously your wife wasn't happy, and that's fair given the situations, that did it. Now she would rather listen to them than listen to her husband, who has been around for her when her grandparents passed away, when her mom passed away, and when her dad passed away. Honestly, I could say I would take a bullet for this woman. Guess what I'm getting at, SSM, is that no matter how good a woman is, if she doesn't stick around just being a housewife, no matter what the situation is, unless she's a very good woman, or as they call them, unicorns, the point is I'm getting at is don't fully trust today's women. Well, sadly that's proven quite true, but then again, you pay attention to, you look at the big picture. I really think she ended the marriage. It wasn't just because these 2 angry a-holes she works with. It's because it's been building up and building up and building up. And like I said, tough times can show you who somebody really is. This is why you spend years getting to know someone, and years, and during those years, go through some tough times to see how things are. And if they're still with you, okay. But I think the effenists definitely did their part and convinced her she can do better and be like them. I mean, these tough times you're going through would eventually end, but, we went to church together. We had a strong faith together. And because the other one were jealous of her being in a committed relationship and were actually committed to a man, women nowadays are evil. Sorry for ranting, but you're right. Just focus on ourselves, our grind, and our purpose. Amen. The only good thing to come from her leaving me like she did is that it's just done no reason. He wrote this badly, so I'm going to have to jump ahead. The point is, he says, a man should focus on his purpose alone. Everything else comes second to last. Thanks for all the hard work, brother. You've helped me out a lot. God bless. Well, bro, I'm sorry that happened to you, but maybe it's a blessing in disguise. You're no longer stuck with her, Again, you went hard times and all that, and you weren't abandoning her. Notice that. And I'm sure if you were the only one working and she couldn't, you wouldn't have left her. And you said to yourself, you've been with her some tough times. Her grandparents got sick and died. Her mom got sick and died. Her dad got sick and died. You were with her by her side. And again, it's not ideal to pick up and move and live in your car and all that. But you're in a hotel now, so it's not like you're living in the SUV with the pets. You're making a comeback, and then she gets around 2 angry a-holes. They probably told her you can do better, blah, blah, blah. Enough's enough. He's not a man taking care of you. But don't be surprised if things don't go the way she wants. She's back asking you to take her back. And at this point, I wouldn't, It'd be one thing if she got upset and communicated to you that she's been unhappy and all that, but that after all that, and then with the coworkers and these 2 pieces of garbage, she'll be back. But now you have a chance, bro, to take the life in the direction you want. You're on your own. I hope you have the pets. And you can take it one day at a time and you're going to be okay. Focus on your grind, focus on your purpose, etc., etc. But you also, yes, she's an example of a lot of the gals in the extreme today. But the thing is that they're all not like that. But I'm convinced it wasn't just the effenist coworkers. It was the other things building up. But if she really loved you, she would have stuck with you during the hard times. You would have come out stronger, but she did not. So I wish you the best. Take it one day at a time. You're going to be okay. Now on to the next story about a guy in the opposite situation he's married for 20 years. He's in his late 30s and has a great marriage. He did find a unicorn, and instantly skeptical me is like, But his description is pretty darn good. But even then, a really great relationship can have ups and downs, tough times, especially when you have kids. And you're going to see here in his story. But even then, things are pretty darn great. But he's able to use what he's learned in the story to lay down the law when he has to, and has made their situation even better. So we're going to end on a high note here for you relationship guys. This guy says, Dear SSM, I'm a newer YouTube follower, and I have to say that I love the content. I've been watching your videos nonstop since stumbling upon your channel. Well, bro, welcome to the club. Thank you for joining us. I wanted to share my story with you because I have a feeling I'll get some smacks and maybe some hard questions. But it seems my situation has beaten most, if not all the odds. And either I'm extremely lucky or my wife is the best liar in history, which I seriously doubt because she's never displayed any of the red flags you bring up in your videos. Well, bro, if that is the case, then I am happy for you. Then you're obviously doing something right and you found a good girl, but I read your story obviously earlier, and I know that you could see early on there were things that she had good qualities. It says here, I met my wife a few weeks after high school. We were both college bound and had similar values and interests, so we hit it off immediately. Right there. Similar values and interests. We were a couple of teenagers trying to navigate being newly free adults with responsibilities. Oh, I remember those days. The summer of 1996, after I graduated high school, I felt like Andy Dufresne in the Shawshank Redemption when he got out of that pipe and he had his hands in the air and his pouring rays, he's free. That was me. High school was my Shawshank. The happiest day ever, one of them in my life, was graduating high school. And that summer, a young adult, no curfew, had a part-time job before I went off to school. Well, I was working full-time this summer, hanging out with my bros, my girlfriend. Yeah, I remember that was a great summer. And yeah, newly free adults with responsibilities. Anyway, we moved in together less than 2 months after we met. Smack! Are you nuts? We were then married about 4 years later. Smack! She got married at 22 years old. Why? I get that she obviously was cool and great values and all that, and you were similar, but still, what's the rush? Well, you got lucky, my friend. Although it sounds like the two of you also, in a way, made your own luck, but still. We have 3 kids and are approaching 20 years together and going strong. Hey, great. Congratulations, and congratulations on your 3 kids. And I hope you two can rub off on your kids and give good examples of what relationships could be like. After watching a lot of your videos and trying to comprehend the horrors in them, I'm convinced my wife is an effing unicorn. Don't get me wrong, we've had rough times like everyone else, but this woman has busted her tail, contributing financially, doing what good wives do in the bedroom, and I can honestly say that our marriage has never been stronger. Dude, if that is the case, I am truly happy for you. We need more of that. And if reading this can help show some guys that it is possible, wonderful. Now, granted, you got married to her 20-some years ago, and you've obviously known her. You were together 4 years, and you've been married for 20 years, so 24 years ago you got together. So, things weren't like they are today. No dating app. Well, dating apps started coming around 2000, Match.com 2000, but social media wasn't for a few years later. It was different then, definitely. What else do you say here? We have SCX regularly, multiple times a week, sometimes twice a day. And although there are times when she's been overwhelmed and stressed because of work, the bedroom fun did slow down a little bit during those times. She still does everything in the bedroom that we've always done and more, and she goes out of her way to meet my needs, and I mean it. Bro, if you've been married 20 years and you're still hooking up multiple times a week, sometimes twice a day, and not only is she willing to keep doing all the stuff she did early on to get you, but even more, that is above and beyond rare. And that's awesome, which shows me she still loves you, has great attraction for you, and you're doing a lot of things right. So that's awesome. That is fucking rare, dude. He says, it's Valentine's Day. He wrote this yesterday. And tonight she went down on me. Well, I don't need to hear this shit, but okay, she was taking care of business for him. And I offered to reciprocate. And she said she was fine just doing that for me, and she'd jump me tomorrow after work to get hers. Okay, so you wrote me yesterday, so today she's getting hers. We built a nice life together, live in basically our dream home, and run a business together. You two work together after all these years and you're still speaking to one another? That's impressive. She's an absolute badass, and I'm positive she has always been faithful to me. Never messing around with girls' nights or any BS like that. That's great. A traditional woman to the core, aside from her career ambitions, of course, which doesn't bother me at all. We're basically business partners, and she's extremely driven and ambitious while still displaying femininity. That is a rare quality. Now, I had a girlfriend, I mentioned her before in other videos, my girlfriend, the lawyer, way back in the day, and she was a situation like that. She was very driven, very ambitious, because she grew up poor, so the only way she was going to have a better life was to make something of herself, and god damn it, she did. And when she was on the job, sometimes during snow days, she'd be on phone calls from our apartment way back in the day. And I would hear her, and she'd be busting guys' balls. She had to do that to kick some ass to get anywhere in the world. But when work was done, either when she came home or got off those calls and it was calling it a day, she would just take about half an hour. She would just go out of that state and go back to being a fun girl. But it's rare to have that combination, because I was not going to be in a relationship with a girl who's a fucking ball buster. She wants to do that on the job, knock yourself out. But when you're with me, you're going to be a fucking girl. Otherwise, goodbye. But it's rare, so I'm glad you got that. It can be done, guys, but you have to be a strong guy. You got to be a leader. You got to be the alpha, if you will, that they all want. Because if you're not, then they'll take over. My wife is definitely hot, but she's modest and doesn't flaunt it at all. That's good. That's good. She's even a bit naive about her looks. She's oblivious when guys are checking her out, and I've never seen her flirt mildly with another guy. She wouldn't disrespect me like that. Well, bro, that's good. Now, I know there are guys laughing out there like, ha, 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 ha. Many guys have thought these same things about their wives or girlfriends and then learned the hard way. But I have hope that she is different. It hasn't always been perfect. Aha. Our respective families are both batshit crazy, but neither of us wants the drama, so we avoid it like the plague. That's interesting. Maybe that's what drew you guys together. That I always tell you guys, watch out for the girl's family, and vice versa. But if both you met, and both you had nut job families, but both of you wanted to make something of yourselves and get away from those dumb fuckers, in that situation, it kind of worked. Our biggest issues have come from financial differences. Aha! One of the biggest issues in marriages is finances. Like most guys, I'm obviously more frugal than she is, and it's led to disagreements on financial matters. For a long time, she has managed our finances. Smack! Oh, no. Whoever is the spender of the relationship cannot manage the finances. I tell you all the time, guys, to save a lot of bullshit and drama, you have your bank account, and she has her bank account that paychecks and business profits go to. And you can have a joint account just to take care of the household things like the mortgage and the electric bill and the water bill and the trash bill and taxes and homeowners insurance and all that shit. But you have your bank account, she has hers. You have your own brokerage accounts, investment accounts, she has hers. But you still have meetings regularly about your plans as a couple, the finances, all that. But you take the charge. Whoever is the saver and better with the money, that can be the one leading the charge on that one. And that's you. Women generally tend to be, not all, but most of the time, women are more spenders and guys are savers. Frugal, they're not going to piss away money on bullshit, and also be more inclined to invest it and so forth. Now, I've known some women that are really great savers, but they're also, one I know is a banker, and she's actually fucking cheap. She's cheap, but she's a banker. Her dad's worth millions of dollars. She's got a lot of money, but she's cheap. And will save every penny she can get, I kid you not. And the other gal used to be a client of mine. She's a financial planner. She worked for a big company. Now she works for herself. And she's not cheap, but she's definitely good with money. So it's possible. But, yeah. You got to set meetings and work together and work on the goals together and communicate well to make that work. It says here, she managed our finances, which I didn't mind because we share everything equally and both earn the same money. But recently I told her I'm taking that back over entirely because we have some big financial decisions that are coming up and I want to be more on top of things. Good. Take charge. She didn't like that at first, but got over it, and that's changing now, and we're making progress in the areas that I wanted to change. Good. That's awesome. You didn't back down. And my suggestion is you just communicate and have regular meetings about the finances, where you are, your net worth, the balances of your various investments and all that, your goals. You have 3 kids, so I'm assuming you want to help them in some capacity. Your goals for every year, what you put away each month, a certain allowance for you guys for things you enjoy, like vacations and all that, and you got to stick with them. A lot of women are more like living for today, and of course being smart with credit cards. You don't put anything on the credit card that you can't pay off that month. It says, I've never been a nice guy, but I definitely wasn't R-pilled. I've fallen into arguments over the years and taken shit I probably shouldn't have, and of course, most of those arguments didn't go my way. Smack! Well, you're learning. One thing my wife knows about me is that I take zero shit from people, so when problems have cropped up in the past with her family, I basically refuse to deal with them anymore if they decide to disrespect me or question my integrity. Anybody questions your integrity, guys, done. Don't take shit from anyone. So it sounds like your wife could be... Look, here's the deal, guys. Nobody can have a relationship where they aren't going to have disagreements and occasional spats and stuff like that. That's normal. In fact, it makes me more nervous to see a couple that never fight. That's the problem. But you don't take any... The big issues, you don't take any shit. But also in the little things, you got to nip them in the bud as well. I've been cordial since, but that's it. Cordial with her family. I'm a pretty authentic guy. What you see is what you get, and if you don't like it, you can go effing pound sand for all I care. There were some absolute lies told about me early on in our relationship that led to pretty big fights, and instead of fighting with those idiots, I just did my thing and proved them all wrong with my actions. Good. This is, of course, her family. She's taken some shit for it over the years from her family, but she's never nagged me about it or even pressured me to reconcile. Like I said, she's a damn unicorn. Well, good. She's choosing you over her family, and that's great. She's not trying to make you change or bend to make them happy. I even rubbed off on her over time, and she went from a people-pleasing doormat to a strong woman who defends me and herself and takes no shit from her family or anyone else. Anybody else, when you hear strong woman, think South Park? What's the name? PC Principal's girlfriend? So I'm glad she's overcome being a pushover and a doormat. I'm sure her family took advantage of her, but she's not the strong woman that's trying to boss you around. Since finding your content, I've been deploying some of your advice, and I have to admit, it's changed the dynamics of our relationship a bit. She's pursuing me even more than she was before. Hey, how about that? Because you're being the leader, you're taking charge, you're not tolerating bullshit. That's really good. I've been putting my foot down on certain things that I used to ignore and that I don't like, and her response has been positive and even respectful, even if it's taken a bit for her to accept the change. Great. Good. So, if you're hooking up multiple times a week, you're going to be hooking up even more, and you're going to get even more benefits in the bedroom because you're acting like the strong leader that she wants, that they all want, unless they're the masculine feminist types. Says here, I don't know if this is worthy of a video, but I think the message I'm trying to convey here is that there are good women out there worth the sweat. Be yourself unapologetically. Don't take shit from anyone, and if your woman supports you and doesn't pull any bullshit, you can build a nice life together. Yeah, that's what the bad boys do. They're unapologetically themselves. They don't give a flying fuck what anybody thinks. You gotta be the same way. And you don't take any shit from anyone, especially your girl. You know? Everybody has a bad day or can overreact, but you don't take any crap and you check them when they're being an a-hole or being disrespectful or overreacting and all that. If you don't check them, there's more bullshit, you know? And I know you said there were some things in the past that you took crap for, and you know, and I know that, you know, you look at things like you pick your battles and all that, but in a lot of situations, guys, it is wise to pick battles in certain areas, like maybe like things with neighbors and stuff like that. But when it comes to your woman, a little disrespect can turn into a big disrespect. You know, more bullshit. So you gotta nip those things in the bud, and you can handle it in the right way. That's not starting World War III, unless she is starting World War III, and then you gotta, well, you know what I mean. If anything I've said is suspicious, or you think I'm naive and want me to elaborate on, let me know and I will. Anyways, thanks again for the content. It is top notch. Well, bro, that was a good way to end this story. I'm glad that you have a marriage you're happy with, 20 years, and you're still hooking up regularly, and you got a great thing going. Okay, you said there's been tough times, you've had ups and downs. What relationship hasn't? What marriage hasn't? But you stuck together, and in spite of those things, you still carried on. Unlike the first story with a guy where, yeah, they're going through tough times, and I can understand her frustration where they had to pick up and move, and living in that car, that could have been fun, and sometimes it was all on her. That's tough. But that doesn't mean you ban your husband over it and meet a couple effinists and then kick him to the curb, which happened to the guy in the first story. Your gal, although things weren't always perfect, she stood by your side. And in spite of her family, the bullshit with her family, she chooses you over them. She hasn't cut him out, but still you come first, and that's great. And that's the difference between both stories. They overcome this second story, they overcome tough times. She's by his side with him, and this guy also takes charge. He's a leader. She respects him. And now, finding my content, he's probably learning things where he's went wrong in situations by hearing similar stories, and he's applying what he's learned. It's making their marriage even better, because no woman wants to be married to a guy who's a doormat, as a pussy. And all women are going to test their husbands, their boyfriends. They're going to test them, test their strength and all that. But the more they respect him, the more they love him, the more the guy's showing strength and leadership, the less there's going to be tests. But even the strongest guy who has his shit together, who's the take charge leader, has this knowledge, even he is going to have a bad day. Even he's going to slip up. And that's when they're like, oop, got to test him. And hopefully he handles it right. So, bro, good job in your marriage. I'm glad you're happy. I truly hope, it is what you think it is. And I hope you carry on. And if you keep applying what you learned here, as well as your natural ability not to take any crap, be unapologetically yourself, lead the relationship, you're going to be great. And what's cool is your kids obviously are going to see the dynamic between you and your wife. And hopefully the boys, if you have boys, will grow up to act like men. The girls grow up to be traditional feminine women, like their mom. And they can have a relationship like you guys. That's what we want. That's the example we hope to have. So, bro, congratulations and carry on. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Guys, in the comment section, definitely address both guys. Address the guy in the first story whose wife kicked him to the curb 2 weeks ago. Give him some support. Let him know what you think. And you guys have been through that. Help him out. And the guy in the second story, give him a shout out that things are going well and he's handling it right. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.